Rama Rama Hare Hare Gauranitai Sri Gauranitai Gauranitai Sri Gauranitai Gauranitai Sri Gauranitai Gauranitai Sri Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.
Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagratam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजाङ्घ्रिये नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गोरतिशे नमः नमो ब्रह्मण्याय देवाय गो ब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनकारिणम् ॐ अपवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थाङ्गतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष सा बाह्य अभ्यन्तरं शुचि श्रीविष्णु 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 Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for kindly joining today's session. So I think many of you were returning from Yatra, Vrindavan Yatra. So when all of you are in Yatra, I was listening to Amrendra Prabhu's lecture on Putana Vada, how Putana entered Vrindavan and trying to kill Krishna. But Krishna is so merciful that he delivered Putana. So what is Putana? So in Bhagavatam 10th canto of Bhagavatam 6th chapter, it is mentioned, Kamsena Prahita Gora, Putana Balagatini. So what is Putana? She is an associate of materialistic person like Kamsa. And she is Gora. And she is killer of babies. Even the Rakshasas have so many good qualities. They don't touch babies, women, and old men. But this Putana was so fallen that she tends to kill the young children. Such a Putana was delivered. Also, it is mentioned that Putana represents the fake guru, fakeness. As we know, you see, she dresses like Gopika and goes to Krishna. Similarly, there is a Putana inside me. I am dressed in the guise of a devotee. I don't have any qualification to speak about Krishna Katha. It is all due to mercy of the Vaishnavas assembled over here to speak something about Krishna. So there is only fair chance that Krishna accepts this service. Though though I am not qualified, though I speak something out of the parampara, maybe if I speak something out of the parampara, please excuse me, please forgive me, because only the mercy of the devotees is possible. So trying to recollect all these things. So praying that Krishna accepts this and delivers each and every one of us over here. I step into this today's session on chapter 15. So let me share. So today we are speaking about the Pandavas retiring timely. So as we seen, Udayananda Prabhu spoke about Dhritarashtra quitting the family life. Then yesterday we have seen Anandana Prabhuji speaking about Krishna leaving the earthly planet after they finished their duties. Now we are seeing the Pandavas retiring timely. So in today's world, we do not know when to leave our responsibilities. So we are stuck. All these chapters say when are we going, when we have to close our responsibilities and start focusing on the spiritual life. Before that, we have to see, before that our life should be a life of gratitude. When we see that entire chapter 15, the common theme, the first theme is based on the gratitude. So what is this gratitude? We speak of gratitude, but what is this gratitude? So gratitude means focusing on what is good in our life, what good things happen in our life, and being thankful to all those things, all those good what we got from others. That is a life of gratitude. So we take a pause over here and appreciate things, and notice what is good happened to us, and through whom the good has happened. Try to reciprocate. But we take all the small things for granted. Here Arjuna and Pandavas show what is a gratitude, how one should be grateful. Acharya say gratitude, life of gratitude is spiritual life. Spiritual life is nothing but life of gratitude. If you are not grateful, you are not even qualified for practicing spiritual life. It is vice versa. In spiritual life, what we have to do? We have to learn how to be grateful. I thank each and every one of you for giving me this opportunity to serve all of you. So fortunately, I was given a chance to speak Bhagavatam, right? right at the start of the Damodar Mass, and almost virtually, almost we are coming to the end of the Damodar Mass, and giving me the same opportunity to serve you all twice in this month. I thank each and every one of you. I thank especially Praveen Prabhuji for scheduling this session. I thank all of you for assembling today, though it is being a Sunday morning, and many of you are coming from the Kartik Yatra very tired. So, so Anandaram Prabhuji was speaking about in the chapter 14, where Yudhishthir Maharaj sees the signs of Kali Yuga entering, all the misdeeds happening. He quickly identified that Kali is going to enter, and he has a sense. He got a sense of that Krishna might have left the world. So when Arjuna came to him after returning from Dwarka, he was inquiring from all the people, how are his friends, how are the relatives. Well, ultimately he asked, how is Krishna? Is Krishna with you or is he left? Then Arjuna starts speaking in this chapter. So before going to the chapter, when we see the chapter, when we see 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says to Arjuna, for any action, there are 5 components. What are the 5 components? The body, the doer or the soul, the senses, the endeavor which you do, and ultimately the supreme personality of Godhead. So these are the 5 components that, that affect the action to be performed. And Prabhupada says, out of all the 5, the key factor is Krishna, the supreme personality of God. He is the doer. He is the ultimate sanctioner. Without him, without the mercy of the Supreme Lord, nothing is going to happen in this material world. So, what is the difference between a demon or a materialistic person and a devotee? So, devotee thinks, sorry, a demon or a materialistic person, he thinks himself the body. So, the body and the doer, there is no distinction between for a materialistic person. And he doesn't know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He thinks himself to be the doer. But a devotee knows that he is not the body, he is a soul, eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So it's the Krishna who is the ultimate sanctioner. So without the mercy of Krishna, nothing is going to happen in this material world. This is the consciousness of a devotee. So this and understanding and giving credit to Krishna is what is the gratitude. Through whatever agencies are coming, whatever we are seeing, whether it is karma coming or whatever is happening in our life, it is Krishna sending. There is no, we cannot say that the other person is the fault. It is our own karma which is acting through them. Krishna's mercy through this act, through this incident, is trying to say something. So, without delaying much, so let us move quickly. So before that, what is this 50, we have 51 slokas in this chapter. 51st sloka is Falastuti. So I read only the translation part. The subject of the departure of the sons of the Pandu for the ultimate goal of life, back to Godhead, is fully auspicious and is perfectly pure. Therefore, anyone who hears this narration with devotional faith certainly gains service of the Lord, highest perfection of life. So this is the Falastuti of this chapter. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a narration. As we all know, this Bhagavatam is a narration of personality of Godhead and his devotees, like Pandavas, Prahlad Maharaj, etc. So, devotees of the Lord, how they are acting, how they are behaving. So devotee of the Lord and the Lord are not different. Paraphernalia of the Lord and Lord himself is not different. So the narration of the personality of Godhead in his devotees is absolute in itself. Thus, to hear it with a devotional attitude is to associate with the Lord. Hearings to Srimad Bhagavatam is like associating with the Supreme Lord himself directly. The process of hearing, this is the process. So what is the process of surrender? We have already seen in the previous chapters. Shravanam, Prahlad Maharaj says, Shravanam Kirtanam. The first starts with hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one can attain the highest perfection of life. Today, people do not know what is the goal in life. The highest goal in life is to go back to Godhead. That is the highest goal. There's all other goals are sub goals. We can have other goals as well, but the highest goal, which we have to focus completely, is going back to Godhead. So for that, we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, especially this 15th chapter. So the first flow slokas describe the feelings of separation of Arjuna. So even in the material life, when our beloved persons depart or leave in the name of separation or in the name of death, how do we feel? How do we feel when our beloved person dies? Our voice chokes. We cannot talk. When people say how this happened, it is difficult for us to say what has happened. We have to collect words. Sometimes tears stops running. We can see the tears in our eyes, but they don't come out. And we describe what our association with that person. This is what we do in the material life. But spiritual life, in the spiritual life as well happens. But the difference is, in a spiritual life, everything is transcendental. Feeling of separation is also transcendental. Bliss happens even in the separation. But in the material one doesn't happen. Bliss doesn't come, happiness doesn't come in the separation. But in a spiritual life, even the separation causes happiness. Though externally, it seems like an unhappy situation. Similarly, Arjuna was in that same grief. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, what happened to Krishna? Did he leave? He immediately said, Sudha Goswami continues to explain to Parikshit, Shaunakadi Rishis, Arjuna, the celebrated friend of the Lord Krishna, was grief-stricken because of his strong feeling of separation from Krishna, over and above all Maharaj Yudhishthira's speculative inquiries. Because of the speculative inquiries of Maharaj Yudhishthira, he was feeling the separation. Due to the grief, Arjuna's mouth and lotus-like heart dried up. Therefore, his body lost all the luster. Now, remembering the Supreme Lord, he could hardly utter a word. This is a feeling which Arjuna had. Very difficult. He checked the tears of his grief that smeared his eyes. He was very distressed because Lord Krishna was out of his sight. Increasingly, so remembering the Lord Krishna and his well-wishers, benefactors, intimate and familiar relations, and his chariot driving, Arjuna, overwhelmed and breathing very heavily, began to speak. So here, Supreme Personality of Krishna is an intimate friend of Arjuna. We know all the incidents, how they are closely related. Friend, such a close friend has left him. Not only was a friend, Krishna has given Subhadra in marriage to Arjuna. They are related in family as well. He is closely bound. They together fought the Kurukshetra battle. There are so many pastimes which Arjuna and Krishna together they have done. That same Krishna has left Arjuna in void. Arjuna is thinking all the activities, all the memories with Krishna. The Lord agreed to become the chariot driver of Arjuna in order to protect his friend from the warfare. So, how much dear Krishna might have been to Arjuna. He became a chariot driver. So imagine the pain which Arjuna is undergoing. Arjuna remembered all these one after the other, and thus he became overwhelmed with such thoughts. So we say that Ram and Krishna are non-different. So many of the devotees were speaking that after returning from the Rajdam, they are feeling the separation of Vrindavan. They are remembering all the what has happened to when they in and around Vrindavan. They are sharing the photos. So it is a separation. We are feeling the separation from the Vrindavan. We have to go back to offices from tomorrow onwards. So it is coming back to the material world again. It's painful for a devotee to come back to this material world. Similarly, Arjuna is feeling the separation from Arjuna, from Krishna. The four slokas describe the separation. Then, with the grief-stricken heart, Arjuna says, "Yes, Krishna has left me." Oh, Arjuna said, "Oh King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus, my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me." So when Arjuna was coming from Dwarka, he could not protect the wives of the Krishna. The same Gandiva which he fought the Virata war, Kurukshetra war, with the same Gandiva weapon, all the weapons which he had, he could not protect the wives of Krishna and other women. Where did the power go? And Arjuna is saying the power is given by Krishna. It is Krishna who has given the power, it is Krishna who has taken away the power back. So whenever Krishna wants, he empowers his devotees. Whenever we see a devotee excelling in spiritual life, it is we should celebrate that because Krishna is empowering that particular devotee. Then he empowers each and every one according to the capacity. He uses Arjuna for one capacity, he uses Bhishma for another capacity, he uses what you call Yamaraj for another capacity, all his devotees. Based on the capacity, based on his level of surrender, Krishna empowers each and every one of us. And when the work is done, it is the same Krishna who takes back the entire whatever called talent back. So he took the entire power of Arjuna back. Arjuna could not even fight the dacoits who are nothing compared to the Kshatriya. If Krishna can take the powers back from a devotee like Arjuna, what is the fate of a person like us? We are artificially, we are in a pride that I can do this. Without me, there is, I cannot, this company doesn't work. I'm the topmost CEO. Without me, this entire service cannot be done. We take false prestige, false pride, forgetting that hand behind Krishna, Krishna's hand behind. So the lesson we should learn from here, one should not be puffed up. It is not that I'm speaking good. It is because of my own speech, everyone is getting connected to Krishna. No, it's not me who is speaking, it is Krishna through me who is speaking. So by entire reading of Bhagavatam, by entire the class, we all should be connected to Krishna. We all should be connected to Krishna. But what is happening today? We are connecting to the speaker. If particular speaker speaks, I go and listen. If a particular speaker doesn't speak, I'm not going to listen. So this is not a way. So speaker should not think that, oh, because of my strength, my capability, only people are getting affected. No, it's Krishna who is speaking. But sometimes in the name of spirituality, we may tend to get that false pride. Krishna doesn't like all those things. So if we are prideful of that, Krishna takes away entire entire capacity to speak. I have just lost him, whose separation for a moment would render all the universes unfavorable and void, like bodies without life. So just like when we are speaking about Akrura story, Akrura taking Krishna away from Vrindavan, how gopis were feeling separation. They're calling Krishna hard-hearted, Akrura insulting Akrura. So devotee cannot feel that pain. Sorry, it cannot tolerate, but it is blissful. Even devotee knows that. But what's Arjuna saying? So just like the soul, when the soul leaves the body, what is the use of the body? When the soul leaves the body. Similarly, for a devotee, the soul of is Krishna. When Krishna leaves, then what is the use of a particular devotee? So when we are not Krishna conscious, what is the use of this life? Prabhupada says, without Krishna consciousness, it is like a dead body moving, like a dead body. That's what Arjuna is saying here. Actually, for a living being, there is no one dear to the life and soul of a devotee is Krishna. So here a metaphor is given. As a living being is important factor in the material body, without the living being, the material body has no value. Similarly, without Paramatma, the living being has no status. Without Krishna consciousness, there is no value in their life. Fortunately, we are fortunate to have Srila Prabhupada, who has given us Krishna and brought us back to life. So we should be grateful to Srila Prabhupada. How Arjuna was successful in the gaining Draupadi. So slowly, he is recollecting all the incidents happened in the whole life, right from the childhood, etc. And most importantly, how he gained Draupadi. So we all know how Arjuna got Draupadi. Drupada arranged an event for all the Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, etc. So Drupada knew that Arjuna only gets qualified, and not only Arjuna, Karna is also equally potent. We all know the Draupadi, by her clever tactics, separated Karna, saying that you are a Sudra. Ultimately, Arjuna shot the arrow into the eyes of the fish and got the hands of Draupadi. And he's saying, among all the powerful kings there, how could Arjuna only do that? It's not his talent, it is because of the mercy of Krishna. He is grateful for that event. Only by his merciful strength was I able to vanquish all the lusty princes assembled at the palace of King Drupada for the selection of the bridegroom. With my bow and arrow, I could pierce the fish target and thereby gain the hand of Draupadi. Arjuna is seeing the hand of Krishna in these things. Because he was near to me, it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of heaven, Indradeva, along with his demigod associate, and thus enable the fire god to devastate the Khandava forest. And only by his grace was a demon named Maya saved from the blazing Khandava forest. And thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all the princes assembled during the performance of Rajasi Yajna and paid your tributes. As we all know, so, Pandavas built Indraprastha. So Indraprastha was given by Mayadanava during these incidents. So Danavas are like, they are demons. They are also like demons. So what they do, they have the powers. With that power, they used to do all the disturbing elements. Just like our scientists, they have all the knowledge. So what are they using this knowledge for? To create some material disturbances. Like example of nuclear weapons. So we are all building nuclear weapons, so many things, weapons. What are we using our intelligence for? Though it is for defense, but it's creating trouble to the society. So what what is the thing? What are the things we are using for ahara, nidra, bhaya, vyutana? All these things are same for the animal. So our intelligence is being used for only the satisfying these four needs. So this is a society of animalistic tendency. So Prabhupada says, two dogs cannot come to consensus. Two dogs cannot come to consensus. Only two humans can come. If we are animalistic, we cannot come to consensus. We create disturbance in the society. Just like stray dogs create so much nuisance at the night. So these human beings, if we are not Krishna consciousness, we are a disturbing elements. Maya Dhanava, Krishna was unhappy about this Maya Dhanava, and Krishna wanted to kill him. But he took the shelter of Arjuna. Immediately, Krishna was pleased. So by this incident, we should understand that how can Krishna be pleased when we take the shelter of the devotees, when we take the shelter of Guru. To get progress in a spiritual life, if we want to progress in a spiritual life, we have to accept Guru. We have to serve the devotees. Then only Krishna will be pleased. People think that we think that we are Krishna, we are servants of Krishna. No, we are servants of Radharani. Radharani is the highest, topmost devotee of Krishna. Why are we taking the shelter of Radharani? To get easier access. All the acharyas say that the easy route to attaining Krishna is to serve the devotees. So devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord. And in devotional service, the mercy of the devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. The process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained. And by the mercy of the Lord, we get a chance to serve the devotee. It goes roundabout. You get the mercy of the Lord by serving the devotee, by getting the mercy of the devotee. Lord, what are you getting? You get a chance to serve the devotees. So it is like a avalanche. It's an avalanche effect. So then he recollects how Bhima was able to conquer Jarasandha. In that assembly where Arjuna was speaking, all the Pandavas, along with Kunti, Draupadi, and everyone was present. Arjuna was saying how Bhima could conquer Jarasandha. Your respectable younger brother, who possesses the strength of 10,000 elephants, killed by the grace Jarasandha, whose feet were worshipped by the many kings. These kings had been brought for the sacrifice in the Jarasandha Mahabhairava Yajna, yet but they were thus released. Later they paid tribute to your majesty. So in the purport, Prabhupada gives the story of how Jarasandha took birth. So he was born into two different pieces, and the two queens do not know what to do with the half of body. They threw it in the Ganga, and Jara found that this meat piece, thinking it to be meat piece, she wanted to eat it. Out of curiosity, she joined the two halves, and the boy got life because this demon Jara brought the two pieces together. He was called Jarasandha, and he got raised in the custody of Jara, demon Jara. After that, Jara handed over this boy to the king Brihadrata, who was the emperor of Magadha. So, being associated with the demon Jara, he got all the demonic qualities. So every king used to go before him. Such a mighty power Jarasandha had. We all know the story. How Bhima killed Jarasandha. So where Krishna indicates, you put these two pieces in the opposite direction to kill Jarasandha. So Arjuna was indicating the hand of Krishna in the victory of Bhima. It was he only who loosened the hair of all the wives of the miscreants who dared open the cluster of your queen's hair, which had been nicely dressed and sanctified for the great Rajasuya sacrificial ceremony. At that time, she fell down at the feet of Lord Krishna with tears in her eyes. here Krishna, here Arjuna is remembering the incidents where Draupadi was utterly insulted among the members of the Kuru dynasty. So where Dushasan pulled the hair of Draupadi. Actually, the hair of Draupadi was sanctified in a sacrificial ceremony of Rajasuya Yajna. It is a very pure hair. That hair was pulled. It is loosened. Then what? She took the center of Krishna. What did Krishna say? All those people who supported this incident, the wives of them will have their hair loosened. What is the significance of the hair loosening here? Hair loosening means the death of the husband. Is a widow. But in today's day and time, we see people, many women, keeping their hair loose. They're actually saying that I am a widow. The hair of a woman is very much prestigious. The hair of a woman should be braided always. It should not be left loose. But unfortunately, in this material, in Kali Yuga, we see people doing that. So at least in our society, in our devotional society, we should be very careful with these small incidents. So it is not so small that leaving the hair is not small. All the wives of Kuru family become widows because Dussasana's insulting a great devotee of God. Then in the next sloka, we see how Pandavas were saved from Durvasa Muni, Durvasa's wrath. We all know these incidents. So we know that who is Durvasa? He is an expansion of Lord Shiva. So just like Lord Shiva, he is easily pleased and easily get annoyed. We see the pastimes of Kunti with Durvasa. After she serving good amount of service to Durvasa, she got benediction where she can call any devata and get a begetted child. In the case of Ambarish Maharaj, Durvasa Muni apparently thought that he was neglected. He got annoyed. Of course, later he got the treatment as well, but we can see how easily he gets annoyed. So Duryodhana knows this. So once Durvasa comes to Duryodhana, and Duryodhana sufficiently treats Durvasa, sufficiently serves the Durvasa. Durvasa Muni was happy with that. And he gives a benediction. Ask me whatever you want. Duryodhana cleverly utilized this boon. They thought that Pandavas were in the forest and they could not get any food to eat. And not only that, after that certain time, Akshaya Patra will be empty after Draupadi eats. Akshaya Patra would not give anything back. So he sends Durvasa Muni to Pandavas at that time when Draupadi finished her eating. Durvasa he doesn't come single. He brings 10,000 people. So offending Durvasa means getting blames or getting curses. And then what did Draupadi do? What did Pandava do? They immediately took the shelter of Krishna. So we all know the incident, what has happened later. So whenever there is a difficulty, the devotee takes the shelter of Krishna, takes the attention of Krishna, thinks the past tense. So how can we take shelter of Krishna right now? So when we are in a distressed situation, we all go through the cycles. So what should we do? We should remember Krishna. Krishna, please help me. Do me, please give benefit to me. We read the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. We associate with the devotees more and more. So that is what is the mood of a devotee. So they hear another instruction which Prabhupada gives is that we as a householder should offer food to the Lord. When we offer food to the Lord, even though tens and thousands of people who comes to us, we can feed them. They will be satisfied. Draupadi gave only one grain, and 10,000 people were satisfied. When we offer food with love to Krishna, we can serve any number of devotees. So this is how how devotional service works. Only Krishna does it. When you take shelter of Krishna, then everything gets taken care of. So how Arjuna obtained different weapons? So it was by his influence only that in a fight I was able to astonish the personality of God, Lord Shiva, and his wife, the daughter of Mount Himalaya. He, or Lord Shiva, became pleased with me and awarded me his own weapon. Other demigods also delivered their respective weapons to me, and in addition, I was able to reach the heavenly planets in this present body and was allowed half elevated seat. So, by this incident, we should understand that the one who is favored by Lord Shiva need not be favored by Lord Krishna. Example of given by Ravana. Ravana was Lord Shiva was pleased by Ravana, but he could not be saved from Krishna. But those who are devotees of Krishna are easily be pleased by Lord Shiva. Arjuna was a devotee of Krishna. Because of that, Shiva was pleased. He even was pleased to get himself lost in the battle. And he gave Ashupatastra. The devotees of the Supreme Lord know how to respect the demigods. How to respect demigods is known only to devotees of Krishna. Otherwise, the devotees of other devatas, they think Krishna as one of the devatas. That we sufficiently have read in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna asks, don't go to the devata, come to me. Because you will not get ultimate benefit. Whatever devatas are going to, whatever we ask the devatas is only material, is only temporary. Devatas cannot give you permanent results. It is me who has to give you the permanent results. If you are intelligent, surrender to me. The other lesson we have to see is one can achieve all the favors simply by pleasing Krishna. So all the favor, all the benefits we can get by pleasing Krishna, whether we are distressed or whatever may be. Kama sarva kamova. Whatever. If you don't have any desire, come to Krishna. If you have all the desires, come to Krishna. If you have desire for mukti, come to Krishna. Whatever your desire is, take the surrender of Krishna. Whereas the devotees or worshipper of the demigods may achieve only partial benefits, which are perishable. So another thing which Prabhupada mentions over here is Arjuna went to heavenly planets in the same body. We are all trying by building some spacecrafts. We are trying to reach moon, sun, etc., which we cannot do. But only by the grace of Lord Krishna, he could go to the heavenly planets. If you want to go to the heavenly planets, suppose you have to take the help of the Krishna as well. But we unfortunately, today's population is based on passion and ignorance. When I stayed for some days as a guest in the heavenly planets, all the heavenly demigods, including King Indradeva, took shelter of my arms, which were marked with Gandiva bow to kill the demon named Nivatakavacha. O King, descendant of Ajamida, at the present moment I am bereft of Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose influence I was so powerful. Here again, he is continuing remembering his hand. So all the devatas took the help of Arjuna. How did they took? Because Krishna's mercy was on Arjuna. How he fought the battle of Kurukshetra. The military strength of the Kauravas was like an ocean in which there dwelled many inconceivable existences, and thus it was unsurmountable. But because of his friendship, I seated on the chariot was able to cross over it, and only by his grace was I able to regain the cows and also collect by force many helmets of the kings, which were bedecked with jewels that were sources of brilliance. So here Arjuna is explaining about the hand of Krishna during the Virat War in the Kurukshetra. So in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we have seen it was described that the entire army was expertly arranged. So many Akshonis. Pandavas were 5 Akshonis and Kauravas were 12 Akshoni Senas. By number, they are outnumbered. Pandavas are outnumbered. And not only that, the other side has Bhishma, Drona, Karna. So many people. And not only that, among all these things, how could Karna and Pandava, sorry, Arjuna and Pandavas won? It is Krishna only who has done it. So how do we know that Krishna has only done it? So all of you might be aware of Barbarika. He is a son of Ghatotkacha. So we know all the incident where by the tactics of Krishna, he was not allowed to participate in the war. Only head is left out, which is seen from the distant place the entire Kurukshetra war. So when Vyasa asked to this Barbarika, what has happened in this entire Kurukshetra battle? I want to write it down. And Barbarika said, I could see only Krishna and Sudarshan Chakra moving here and there and destroying the entire Kaurava armies. I could not see Arjuna. I could not see other Pandavas. I could not see his associates. I could see only Krishna. Then what happened? In this instance, we have to understand that Krishna is only the doer. And not only that, in seventh, I think in the 7th chapter or 11th chapter, where Krishna shows his Virata Roop, the ghastly form, and shows to Arjuna that the entire Kuru army is getting destroyed by me. They are entering into his mouth. So just become an instrument in this war. So there are many more incidents like that. But all these 3 incidents, we can understand that the entire war was fought by Krishna only, nobody else. That Arjuna is acknowledging it now. And yet it was due to the Lord Krishna's grace that Arjuna alone, sitting on the chariot, could manage to vanquish them one after the other. Also, at the end of the war, Krishna asked Arjuna to get down to the chariot. And after that, Krishna gets down of the chariot. What happened? The chariot burned into flames by the strikes of the arrows. Who protected the chariot? It's Krishna. So Arjuna remembered all these things was possible only by the grace of the Lord. It was he only who withdrew the duration of the life from everyone and who in the battlefield withdrew the speculative power and strength of enthusiasm from the great army phalanx made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Salya, etc. Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but he, Lord Krishna, while going forward, did all this. How did Pandavas win? Because Krishna says, सर्वस्य चाहं बुद्धि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर ज्ञानम अपोहनं च. So from him, the intelligence, knowledge, etc., all those things are coming. Even the absence of intelligence is also coming from Krishna. So Krishna took all the intelligence of Bhishma, Karna, and everything. Arjuna says the entire army, Kaurava army's intelligence was lost because Krishna took away their intelligence. Just like Krishna took the intelligence of Arjuna to reveal Bhagavad Gita. He took the intelligence of Arjuna and gave Bhagavad Gita, whereby he got back the intelligence back. So Krishna is there in everyone's heart. By his mercy only, we can remember, we can do anything. As a Supreme Lord, he can increase or decrease the duration of the life of a living being. The Lord conducted the battle in Kurukshetra. In our own life, we face so many battles, office, etc., etc. So who is doing that battle? With Krishna's mercy, we can win the battles. We think that we are the doers, just like Kauravas, we'll lose it. Whatever strength we have. But we should not be proud of our strength. We should understand Krishna's hand in that. Great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Purishava, Sursama, Salya, Jayadatta, Mahalika, all directed their invincible weapons against me. But by his Lord or Lord Krishna's grace, they could not even touch a hair on my head. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj, the supreme devotee of the Lord Narasimhadeva, was unaffected by the weapons of the demons used against me. Arjuna was quoting Prahlad Maharaj. So how Prahlad Maharaj was saved from Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu could not touch Prahlad. So Krishna says, no one can kill the devotee of the Lord. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Bhagavad Gita 9:31. My devotee never perishes. Just like in Govardhan Lila, you all have done Govardhan Parikrama. So the Govardhan Lila we have seen. Not even a blade of grass was touched by Samvartaka clouds sent by Indra. The thunder weapons, not even a grass was moved by the itself. By the nothing, not even a blade of grass moves by the sanction of Krishna. Everything, though everyone was or against Arjuna, it is by the mercy of Krishna only they could kill. So in the later in the purport, the history of Karna, Burisava, Susuma, everything was given. You can later go and read the purpose. Who is Karna, who is Burisava, and all those things. So our matter is, our concern over here is devotee never gets perished. Krishna protects his devotee. It was by his mercy only that all my armies, my enemies, neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses. And it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver. For he is worshipped and offered services by the best man of the attain salvation. So, as we all know, in the battlefield, there is scarcity of water. There is no water. They are busy fighting. All we can see in the movies what is happening. So sometimes people get tired, they become thirsty, they don't carry this water bottle. They don't carry, they have all this weaponry. And not only that, horses, all elephants, they get thirsty. They have to come down, they have to risk their life to get that water. It's a very risky. There are some people, there are incidents where they are killed while taking water. That was, we read the details of Mahabharata war, the people who got killed but when they were drinking water. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the personality of Sri Krishna, is the object of worship for both impersonalists and devotees. Both impersonalists and devotees worship the same personality, Krishna. But what is the difference? Impersonalists think that Krishna is an ordinary human being. Though he is indirectly he is the object of worship, the people impersonalists think that they are Krishna is an ordinary human being. 9.11 says, Avajananti Mamuda Manushi Tanasate. If we think that Krishna is an ordinary human being like all of like us, we are fools. Fool number one. People in nowadays think that Krishna is an historical person who read Shastras. By reading Shastra, he could speak Bhagavad Gita, is one instance. And one fellow says that Krishna is a very small child. He cannot speak Bhagavad Gita. By my own mercy, I entered into Krishna's body and spoke Bhagavad Gita. So follow me. So these are all nonsense going on in this material world. But the devotee knows the transcendental position of the Lord. He has a form. He plays the part of a perfect master, friend, son, and lover. Just like how he reciprocated to Yashoda, how he reciprocated to Radharani, how he reciprocated to Sudama. So he is reciprocating to each and every devotee in a personal way. So devotee understands Krishna is a person. While playing in such a perfect transcendental relation, the devotee forgets the internal potency of the Lord that his friend or son is a supreme person. Just like how Yashoda forgot that Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. It is not that she is not a normal person like us. We are covered by Maya, but Yashoda is covered by Yoga Maya. It is a potency of Krishna. So devotees forget that Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead and exchange the relationship. That's what Prabhupada is saying. But although then now Arjuna has understood that he is a supreme personality and he is regretting. I thought him to be an ordinary friend. I engaged him in my service. Devotee means we should serve Krishna, not that Krishna serves us. We should not make Krishna serve for all of us. That's like when we see like pastimes of Sanatana Goswami, all those Goswamis, how they are not willing to take the service of Krishna and Radharani. So, as a devotee, we should serve Krishna. Intelligent men are attracted by the transcendental acting of the Lord with pure, unalloyed devotees like Arjuna. So, in the next two slokas, he says, O king, his jokings and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. His addresses unto me as son, O son of Pruta, friend, son of Kuru dynasty, and all such heartiness are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed. Generally, both of us used to live together, sleep, sit, and loiter. So Arjuna was recollecting all those friendly incidents. So you're saying that Krishna tolerated me, just like a father tolerates a son, a true friend tolerates the other friend. So we should learn from this incident how to tolerate. So Sikshastakam third verse it says, Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Saishna, Amanidana Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. One should be tolerant like a tree. If Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, tolerant. What are we? Are we greater than Krishna for not being tolerant? No. So we should learn. Even Krishna is doing that. We have to follow in the footsteps. We have to follow the footsteps of all the great acharyas. Then only we can, whenever we can, chant the holy names. O Emperor, now I am separated from my friend and dearmost well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, my heart appears to be void of everything. In his absence, I have been defeated by a number of infidel cowherds, just like we have discussed. I had the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I used them as the same Arjuna, to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of the Lord Krishna, all of them at a moment's choice, notice, I became null and void. So he has everything, all the paraphernalia he has, but he could not do. So we all know that what Vakramuni cursed certain women that they will be kidnapped. Even though the husband is Supreme Personality of Godhead, you will be kidnapped because they have mocked Ashtavakramuni. So after that, they have pleased Ashtavakramuni and said, please forgive me. So Ashtavakramuni gives the relief that only Supreme Personality of Godhead can steal you. The army, the rogues who has come has nothing but Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not ordinary people. He is a Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna in the guise of dacoits. He has come and stolen the woman. So by this instance, we understand not our power, it's not our power, our intellectual capabilities, our talents that is making the service work. Krishna mercy. All energies and powers are derived from the Supreme Source, Lord Krishna, and they act as long as it desires and cease to function as soon as it. So we should not get puffed up. O king, since you have asked me about our friends and relatives in the city of Dwarka, I will inform you that all of them were cursed by the Brahmanas, and as a result, they all become intoxicated with wine made of putrefied rice and fought among themselves with sticks. So how we all know how the Yadus were fighting with the sticks and they disappeared in this material world. So actually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and other times they protect. It's only the supreme will. So our scientists will think that survival of the fittest is a concept running over only the fittest survive. No. Whenever there is a peace in the world, it is good. It is said that goodwill of Lord is there. But whenever there is upheaval in the Lord world, it is also due to the supreme will. Just like we have seen the corona, we are seeing war happening in the two nations. So when does war happen? It is also the supreme will. It is clearly said. Actually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord. Sometimes people kill others, and other times protect one another. In the Yadus, they were fighting with each other. What to think about the non-devotees? Naturally, they'll fight. It is also the supreme will of the Lord. It should happen. The burden on the earth should come down. Day by day, Earth is being burdened. To relieve that burden, Krishna decides all these things. The surest way to path of peace is dovetailing everything to the established rule of the Lord. So when we serve Lord, automatically peace is achieved. We must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which are not pleasing to us. So we should use our intelligence to discriminate what is pleasing to the Lord and do according to them. But what we are doing what is pleasing to all of us. But Krishna is even merciful that he is accepting even that also. So there, in the next three slokas, the law of struggle and existence and summary of Bhagavad Gita was spoken again. Here I want to share. I want one devotee to read the purport. So Hare Krishna, anyone who can volunteer to read this purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'll read it.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Herein, Arjuna refers to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, which is imparted to him by Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Lord left behind him the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, not for the benefit of Arjuna alone, but also for all the time and in all lands. The Bhagavad Gita, being spoken by Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. It is nicely presented by the Lord himself for all who have very little time to go through the vast Vedic script literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Vedanta Sutras. It is put within the study of the great historical epic Mahabharata, which was especially prepared for the less intelligent class, namely the women, laborers, and those who are worthless descendants of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and higher sections of the Vaishyas. The problem which arose in the heart of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was solved by the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Again, after the departure of the Lord from the vision of earthly people, when Arjuna was face to face being vanquished in his acquired power and prominence, he wanted again to remember the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, just to teach all concerned that the Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hour.
You can continue, Prabhuji.
Yeah, continue. The merciful Lord left behind him the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita so that one can take the instructions of the Lord even when he is not visible to material eyesight. Material senses cannot have any estimation of Supreme Lord, but by his inconceivable power, the Lord can incarnate himself to the sense perception of the conditioned soul in a suitable manner through the agency of matter, which is also another form of Lord's manifested energy. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita or any authentic scriptural sound representation of the Lord is also the incarnation of the Lord. There is no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself. One can derive the same benefit from the Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna did in the personal presence of the Lord. Maybe somebody else can read it.
Hare Krishna Ram Reddy Prabhu, you can continue.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
The faithful human being who is desirous of being liberated from the clutches of material existence can very easily take advantage of the Bhagavad Gita. And with this in view, the Lord instructed Arjuna as if Arjuna were in need of it in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, 5 important factors of knowledge have been delineated pertaining to the Supreme Lord, the living being, nature, time and space, and the process of activity. Out of these, the Supreme Lord and the living being are qualitatively one. The difference between the two has been analyzed as the difference between the whole and the part and parcel. Nature is inert matter displaying the interactions of 3 different modes, and eternal time and unlimited space are considered to be beyond the existence of the material nature. Activities of the living being are different varieties of aptitudes which can entrap.
Hare Krishna. Entrap or liberate? Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you can hear you. Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, you want to read?
Enlightenment.
Which Shall I read?
Yeah, yes, Mataji.
Which can entrap or liberate the living being within and without material nature. All these subject matters are concisely discussed in the Bhagavad Gita, and later the subject matters are elaborated in the Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment. Out of the 5 subjects, the Supreme Lord, the living entity, nature, and time and space are eternal. But the living entity, but the living, but the excuse
Living
me,
entity.
but the living entity, nature, and time are under the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is absolute and completely independent of any other control. The Supreme Lord is the supreme controller. The material activity of the living being is beginningless, but it can be rectified by transferal into the spiritual quality. Thus, it can cease its material qualitative reactions. Both the Lord and the living entity are cognizant, and both have the sense of identification of being conscious as a living force. But the living being, under the condition of material nature called Mahat Tattva, misidentifies himself as being different from the Lord. The whole scheme of Vedic wisdom is targeted to the aim of eradicating such a misconception and thus liberating the living being from the illusion of material identification. When such an illusion is eradicated by knowledge and renunciation, the living beings are responsible actors and enjoyers also. The sense of enjoyment in the Lord is real, but such a sense in the living being is a sort of wishful desire only. This difference in consciousness is a distinction of the 2 identities, namely the Lord and the living being. Otherwise, there is no difference between the Lord and the living being. The living being is therefore eternally one and different simultaneously. The whole instruction of the Bhagavad Gita stands on this principle.
Anyone others who can volunteer the last paragraph?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhu, I
Krishna.
can read, Prabhu. Is it okay? Hare Krishna.
Correct. Yes. Okay, please continue.
Okay,
Prasad,
okay, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Okay. Okay, it seems you highlighted, Prabhu. I just got reflected now. Okay, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord and living beings are both described as Sanatana or eternal, and the Lord's abode far beyond the material sky is also described as Sanatana. The living being is invited to live in the Sanatana existence of the Lord, and the process which can help a living being to approach the Lord's abode, where the liberated activity of the soul is exhibited, is called Sanatana Dharma. 1 second, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
One cannot, however.
Yeah, I'm just reading it, Prabhu. It is basically just gone because my internet issue, Prabhu. It came now back, Prabhu. Sanatana Dharma. One cannot, however, reach the eternal abode of the Lord without being free from the misconception of material identification. And the Bhagavad Gita gives us clue how to achieve this stage of perfection. The process of being liberated from the misconception of the material identification is called in different stages: future activity, okay, emphric, philosophy, and the devotional service, up to the transcendental realization. Such transcendental realization is made possible by devoteeing all the above items in relation with the Lord. Prescribed duties of human being as directed in Vedas can gradually purify the sinful mind of the conditioned soul and rise him to the stage of knowledge. The purified stage of acquiring knowledge becomes the basis of the devotional service of the Lord. As long as one is engaged in researching the solution of the problems of life, his knowledge is called jnana or purified knowledge. But on realizing the actual solution of life, one becomes situated in the devotional service of the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita begins with the problems of life by discriminating the soul from the elements of matter, and proves by all reasons and argument that the soul is indestructible in all circumstances, and that the outer covering of the matter, the body and the mind, change for another term of the material existence, which is full of miseries. The Bhagavad Gita is therefore meant for terminating all different types of miseries, and Arjuna took shelter of this great knowledge, which had been imparted to him during the Kurukshetra battle.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So here we can see the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita being remembered by Arjuna. He said that we don't have any time. Don't have time to read all the Puranas, etc., all those things. So for them, for all of us, Bhagavad Gita is the ultimate manual. Vedas sarve ahame vivedya. So only Bhagavad Gita is sufficient. So Bhagavad Gita is for the people like less intelligent like us. So this is a treatise. So when you are attending Bhagavad Gita classes, Lilananda Prabhu is taking in the satsangs. It doesn't mean that we go and listen just like that. We have to remember them. Just like how Arjuna remembered the instructions came in the Kurukshetra war. Of course, he was successful in the Kurukshetra after Bhagavad Gita was spoken. But now Krishna is not there. Then what is he taking shelter of? Did he forget Bhagavad Gita? No. He's actually applying it now. The instructions in the Bhagavad Gita are nothing but the Krishna himself. We don't have Krishna right now. We cannot see him like Arjuna has seen. But we have to take the shelter of instructions given in Bhagavad Gita. We have to take seriously what is being spoken and apply it in our real life. That is called realization. Otherwise, it is a speculative knowledge. It remains as a knowledge. A knowledge which cannot be applied is like a dog's tail, which is not fit to cover or not to fit to wipe out the flies. We have to make it happen. We have to implement in our life. Then that is called realization. That is the purpose of human life, self-realization. So Bhagavad Gita is applicable in today's day and time. That's what Arjuna was taking it. Arjuna was now taking the shelter of the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So what is being talked? Spoken Lord, living beings, nature, time, space, etc. are being talked. Ultimately, it is talking about the problems in our life and how to solve the problems. Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intricacy of the friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Just like when we take the help of Bhagavad Gita, all our mental contaminations get removed and we'll become peaceful. Arjuna began to think on the Lord's instructions to him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only those instructions began to eliminate the tinges of the material contamination. That's why Lord Krishna Chaitanya recommended constant chanting of the name of the Lord for the protection. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the ultimate conclusion. The ultimate conclusion of Bhagavatam is to chant the holy names. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna by chanting the holy names and doing the service. Arjuna's constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna rapidly increased his devotion, and as a result, all the trash in his thoughts subsided. What is called trash? It is our material contamination. So material desires are trashes. So when we think about Krishna, when we do increase devotion towards Krishna, all these material desires come down. The naked forms of all material desires become manifest. Just like Lilananda Prabhu explains the example of Raju and Kaju. So all the naked truth of Kaju's story, we all know. So when we surrender to Krishna, the entire naked form of these material desires are shown to us. Because of the Lord's pastimes and activities, and because of his absence, it appeared that Arjuna forgot the instructions left by the personality of Godhead. But actually, this was not the case. And again, he became Lord of his senses. So it taught that people think that Arjuna forgot Bhagavad Gita. Now you can see, no, he did not forget Bhagavad Gita. All pastimes and activities of the Lord are spiritual in nature, but to the layman, they appear to be on the same level as the material activities. Avajanati Mahmood, I could think Krishna as an ordinary man. All the pastimes, we think that it's a material. No, it's not a material. They are all spiritual platform. So Bhagavad Gita 18.65 says, when we think about Krishna, we can go to Krishna. Manmana Bhavagatva Matyaji Man Namaskuru. That verse says, always think of me, become my devotee, surrender unto me. One should therefore adjust the activities of the life in pace with the mission of the Lord. We have to align our activities to serve Lord Krishna. This is the only way we can go back to Godhead. This is the perfection of life. So we get liberation by instructions of Bhagavad Gita. Because of his possessing spiritual essence, the doubts of duality were completely cut off. Thus, he was freed from the three modes of the material nature and placed in the transcendence. There was no longer any chance of becoming entangled in birth and death, for he was free from the material form. So, doubts come because of duality. This material world is a duality. We think that I am this body, everything related to this body, my wife, my property, my children, etc., etc. These are the causes of bewilderment. Our material misconception of the material body is the cause of our conditioned soul. Why are we facing problem? Because we think that we are the body. So when we read Bhagavad Gita and start implementing, this misconception is removed. The real knowledge is knowledge of Krishna. Yes, you are not this body, you are the soul. Jivera Sarupa Hoy, Krishna Rittaradas, you are the servant of Krishna and work for Krishna. Then that material misconception is removed, ultimate peace is gained. That peace is liberation. What we call liberation. So this one can be in association with the Lord constantly by simply hearing, chanting, thinking, and worshipping the Lord. So whatever daily activity we are doing is constant remembrance of Krishna. To become free from material conditions means to liberate the soul. The peace is liberation of the soul. So ultimately, the Pandavas, they are retiring. Upon hearing to the Lord Krishna's returning to Hibod and upon understanding the end of the Yadu dynasty, at manifestation, Maharaj Yudhishthira decided to go back home, back to Godhead. Not only Arjuna, Yudhishthira Maharaj also was contemplating on the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. He began to deliberate on the Lord's appearance and disappearance. Bhagavad Gita 4.9 says, one who concentrates on my appearance and disappearance, once they reach my abode, they will not come back to this material world. So we have to understand why Lord comes and why he leaves. Yudhishthira Maharaj. Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the end of the Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Krishna, engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of God with full attention and thus gained release from the force of material existence. The beginning of devotional service to the Lord is beginning of spiritual body. Right when we start our devotional service, the body becomes spiritualized. And thus, another devotee of the Lord loses the material things. It's a material conception or spiritual conception. There is no material or spiritual. It is our own consciousness. When our consciousness starts moving towards Krishna, everything becomes spiritualized. The supreme unborn Lord Sri Krishna caused the members of Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, and thus he relieved the burden of the world. This action was like picking out a thorn with a thorn. So just like when thorn gets stuck in your leg or some part, what will you do? You'll take another thorn and remove the thorn. The two are the same thorns, but one thorn is being used for our service. Just like that, similarly, Asuras and Suras are both thorns. So they are both thorns. But what is the difference between the two? Suras are in the favorable service of Krishna, but non-devotees, they are not favorable. So that's why here an example of picking a thorn. He used one thorn to pick the other thorn. Here in the next slokas, the mystery of Lord's disappearance is mentioned. The Supreme Lord relinquished the body which he manifested to diminish the burden on the earth. Just like a magician, he relinquishes one body to accept the different ones, like fish incarnation and others. We see so many incarnations of the God, Krishna, and we think that Krishna dies or incarnation dies. So just like a child seeing the magician being cut into pieces, thinks that magician is dead. But a parent knows that it's a simple trick. So devotee knows that it is a trick of Krishna. Non-devotees are like the ignorant child thinking that Krishna is dead, but Krishna is not dead. Krishna's body is not material, it is spiritual body. He changes his body as he likes. When the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, left his earthly planet in his self-same form, from that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, was fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. How can you not? Yesterday, Anand Prabhu was speaking about the signs of Kali Yuga. So why did Kali Yuga came? Because Krishna has disappeared. Till Krishna has stays in the world, Kali did not enter. Similarly, staying in this Kali Yuga, if we take shelter of Krishna, we are not affected by Kali. With no effect of Kali. What is this Kali symptoms of Kali Yuga? Avarice, falsehood, diplomacy, cheating. If you want to see the symptoms of Kali Yuga, open a show. There is a show, some show where inmates are stuck in the house, given certain tasks to perform. They blame each other and everything. We all know about that show. It is a sample of Kali Yuga. It's not it's as good as seeing the sample. We don't need to test as seawater. One drop of seawater is sufficient. Just like this show is sufficient to know what is Kali Yuga. All the things are there in that. Violence, etc. All those things. How society is affected by Kali? No need to mention. We all know what is happening. Seeing the picture on the left side, this is what is happening in the Kali Yuga. Maharaj Yudhishthira was intelligent enough to understand the influence of Kali, age of Kali, characterized by increased average, falsehood, cheating, violence through capital, state, home, individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to lead. So what did Yudhishthira do? You cannot do anything in this Kali Yuga, just leave it. Go back home, get God. So our agenda is to save some people as well. But first is we have to save ourselves. Put our masks on before putting others' masks. We also have to be safe side. So we all should follow the Krishna consciousness. Besides that, being an ideal king, Maharaj Yudhishthira want to retire. Set an example. But unfortunately, we do not know when to retire. Even after retiring from the service, we still go on working. 60, 70, 80 years till we are thrown out of the office. Retired old gentlemen should take lessons from him and leave home for spiritual realization before being forcefully dragged away to meet them. So are we waiting to be forced to go out, or are we ready to go out? We have to voluntarily get prepared. Therefore, in the capital of Hastinapura, he enthroned his grandson, who was trained and equally qualified as the emperor and the master of all the land bordered by seas. The only reason is that people of the world were happy because good administration. Only one ruler was there because they were satisfied. Now we are going for elections, not this party, not that party, because we are not happy. Administration is not good. During that time, administration was good. Why? Because everyone was trained to attain the highest goal of life. The administrators of our country should introduce Bhagavad Gita into the schools. That should be one of the target as well. Then he posted Vajra, the son of Aniruddha, grandson of the Lord Krishna, at Mathura as the king of Surasena. Afterwards, Maharaj Yudhishthira performed a Prajapatya sacrifice and placed in himself the fire for quitting a household life. So, modern politicians should take inspiration from Yudhishthira when to leave. People are old. You see our politicians, how old they are. It's a time to concentrate on the spiritual life, but they are in active politics. So that is a suicidal methodology. Then Maharaj Yudhishthira was liberated. Maharaj Yudhishthira at once relinquished all his garments, belt, and ornaments at the royal order and became completely disinterested and attached to everything. The Kashaya Vastra or saffron loincloth of sannyasi indicates freedom from all material garments. So in material garments, we see so many fashions: cut jeans, torn jeans, short jeans, all those things. But saffron cloth means I am free. I am not attracted by these material garments. It's not a dress, it's a symbolism so that I am renounced. But unfortunately, in today's world, by using the same garment, sannyasi garment, people are spoiling others' lives. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says we have to be careful to before going to a person, we have to analyze whether he is coming from the sampradaya or not. All those checks we have to do it. But the sannyasi saffron cloth means he is detached from the material conception of life. Then he amalgamated all the sense organs into the mind of to the life to the breathing, his total existence in the embodiment of the 5 elements, and his body into the death. Then, as pure self, he became free from material conception of life. Actually, the activities of mind cannot be stopped, but they are reflection of our soul, but of quality. People say, stop your mind, stop your desires. Cannot happen. Only thing we have to do is purify our senses. So, how can we purify? By serving Lord. So one must not only think that he is Brahman, but act like a Brahman. So if we think we are Brahman, we are impersonalist. If we act Brahman, we are devotee. That is the difference between devotee and a impersonalist. After that, Maharaj Yudhishthira dressed himself in the torn clothing, gave eating all the solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All these combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything, and just like a deaf man, he heard nothing. He then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by the forefathers and great men, to devote himself completely to the thought of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he lived that way wherever he went. So we have to follow the parampara. Leave all the family connections for self-realization and going back to God. That is the training. So no king was or respectable gentleman would continue family till end because it was considered. It was a Vedic situation, Vedic times. Ultimately, before death comes, he relinquishes everything and goes back to prepares his life in the service of Krishna. If you are not doing that, if you are not Krishna conscious, if you are not seriously Krishna conscious, at least after 60 years, then it's a questionable thing. It is like a suicidal tendency. So in Bhagavad Gita 18.62, Krishna instance, at least in one's last day, one should be yes. The younger brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthira observed the age of Kali had already arrived throughout the world and that citizens of the kingdom were already affected by irreligious practice. Therefore, they decided to follow in the footsteps of their elder brother. So here, the ultimate goal of life is indicated. And Pandavas, all the brothers, have followed. The ultimate life of human goal is to go back to Godhead, stay in Krishna consciousness. So they all perform all the principles of religion and as a result rightly decided that lotus feet of the Lord Sri Krishna are the supreme goal of all. Therefore, they meditate upon his feet without interruption. So that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti said, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha are impurities. The Vedas give all these 4 things, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. For a Bhakta, these are all impurities. So such person affected by these contaminations of 4, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, cannot attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to go beyond. Krishna says, go beyond these Vedas, surrender unto me. So we all have to take shelter of Krishna, shelter of devotees, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. For us, for devotees, these 2 books are sufficient. Thus, by his pure consciousness, due to the constant devotional remembrance, they attain spiritual sky, which is ruled over by the Supreme Narayana, Lord Krishna, This is attained only by those who meditate upon one Supreme Lord without deviation. This abode of Lord Sri Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavana, cannot be attained by any person who are absorbed in material conception of life, for the Pandavas being completely washed of all material contamination. Attained that abode. Anyabhilashita shunyam means we should be free from all the material conceptions. So, by chanting of the holy names, even the low class people, like Chandalas, can become a spiritual master. The power of chanting of the holy names is so great. We should not think that, oh, this person is coming from a Chandala family, you're not fit for a spiritual master. No. This chanting is eligible to become a spiritual master. So Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhasa because he was absorbed in the thought of Krishna. He was received by the denizens of Pitraloka planet, where he returned to his original post. So Vidura was none other than Yamaraj. Though he was thinking about Krishna at the last time, he went to the Yamaloka to resume his activities. This is the difference between Pandavas and Draupadi also saw that her husbands, without caring for her, were leaving home. She knew well about Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Both she and Subhadra became absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna and attained the same result. So when one has to go back home, back to Godhead, everyone has to take care of himself without help of any other. So our spirit, each and every one of us are on a spiritual journey. We cannot force our journey on the others. Seeing others, we can inspire others, but it is our own journey which is going to happen. It's our own decision whether we are going to go into back to Godhead or not. The example of a plane is given in this purport. Till the time plane is on the ground, we can put the fuel, you can put all the necessary equipments, you can do all those things. I think Lovish Prabhu knows everything, how the plane operates. But once the plane takes off, can you do anything? No. Plane is independent. No other plane can come. So when we are in a spiritual life, yes, we can support, can remind all of us, but it is still our own journey. Till the time we are here, we have to take the help of the association of devotees. Get the fuel, get our engines ready, and get ready to take off to the Goloka Vrindavan. That's what the entire chapter of 15. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purpose of the first canto, 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Pandavas Retired Timely. So there is so much more to be said, but unfortunately we are lacking time. I had to skip some things over here. Please forgive me if I have spoken anything wrong. I have not covered anything. You are free to add some points to this. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Praveen Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you very much for covering a very important chapter.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat.
Dandat Pranam. Very
So
important
wonderful
chapter.
session, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Okay, you took all the important points as well, along with the important chapter. Okay, I have one question, Prabhu. See,
Yes.
see Arjuna, while coming in through the forest, has met there was some fight with thieves or Detroits, and then it is been mentioned as he has lost.
Yes.
So it means he after a lot of fight, he finally won, or he's completely really lost, Prabhu.
In the Kandava forest, right? He has won. I didn't get your point. I didn't get your question properly.
No, I mean with a lot of difficulty, he finally won the battle, or he really lost the battle. Is my question, Prabhu.
If a battle you refer to the Virata, there is battles which he has spoken. Virata, Kurukshetra.
No, not Kurukshetra. After this, he's rescuing Dwarka Vasis and Krishna's wives and all that. He's getting them into the Hastinapur, right? So in that, so he met or he had a fight with.
Actually, I got it. He fought with the dacoits.
Dacoits.
Ultimately, he actually externally he lost. Internally he won. Externally, the dacoits are nothing but Krishna. Then he could understand that it is not his power that is saving. That was what Krishna wanted to teach to Arjuna, to all of us. Externally, he is
Okay.
lost.
Externally has lost.
Externally,
Okay.
a devotee also looks like lost, but internally, he is winning.
Mhm.
So that is
So
what.
internally has won means he agreed, or he 100% convinced that it is not his power. It is
not his
Krishna's
power,
power
it is
only
Krishna.
made it win in Kurukshetra. That is what internal.
He won the war inside.
Okay. Inside. So, but external, like the dacoits has taken the wives and gold and all the jewelry and all that.
Yes,
Fully.
yes.
They have taken
Fully.
up.
Yes.
Okay.
Dacoits are nothing but Krishna.
Krishna only.
He's
So Acharya is
Krishna.
confirmed to us.
Yes,
Acharya
yes.
is confirmed.
Yes, it is the same Krishna who has come as dacoits. Nobody can touch the wives of Krishna. They are transcendental. They are divine. Acharya said they cannot be touched except for Krishna. And especially Astavakra Muni, the story, if you go into the part, I did not elaborate over here. Astavakra Muni curses the wife, woman, that your husband, though being a supreme personality of Godhead, you will be kidnapped. He told. Then later he said that your husband, same Swayam Bhagwan, comes in the form of the dacoits. He gives a relaxation.
Okay, understood. But Arjuna has not realized all these things during that particular fight.
During
Or
that
he
fight,
realized.
no. After that, he
He has
realized.
not. After that, he realized. Okay. Yeah, very important points, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Internal win and external win. It looks both are different. Generally, win means we think it is a win, only one.
I had heard in one
Outside
of
only.
I don't
Generally, I
think
look after.
Jaya and Vijaya, you have heard, right? Jaya and Vijaya. Vijaya means conquering outside battle. Jaya means conquering inside a battle. So Raja conquers outside, Maharaja conquers inside. That's why we address our Acharyas as Maharaj. They conquer their senses. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Jaya, Vijaya means internal and external win.
Jaya means internal, Vijaya means external.
Vijaya means external. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Oh, we got it, Prabhu. This is another many completely new learning. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Haribol. Wonderful session, Prabhu.
Thank
Really
you.
wonderful session.
By all
Thank
your mercy, I'm speaking of. Krishna Anandana Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for a wonderful lecture. Just one comment, Prabhu, based on the previous question. Even in fact, in the previous chapter, in the 14th chapter purports, Prabhupada mentions that a pure devotee, a Vaishnava, though he might be externally appearing to be going through a lot of pain and suffering, internally he is experiencing the highest bliss.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Thanks a lot for a wonderful
Thank you so
lecture,
much.
Prabhu.
Your lecture has given me a platform to take this. So much.
No, Prabhu. You are inspiring all of us.
These are all Prabhupada and Krishna inspiring all of us. Hare Krishna, anyone want to add some points over it? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I think it's already 9 o'clock.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the wonderful session again. As usual, you do a lot of research and preparation. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Vancha kalptarabhyascha.
की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.